5, 4, 3, 2, 1. CTS podcast. We're back.
We are back. Well. It seems that we keep telling ourselves the same story that,
Sweet little white lies.
just to make our major audience, feel a little bit better about how little content we're putting out as of late. Henry's the primary reason for that. He is constantly
We don't need
busy and
throw around accusations.
let's just say Henry's life is moving in a different direction at the moment. He has priorities, but that's okay. I still care and am constantly thinking about this channel.
Humble viewer, I promise I care about you.
Anyways, so political big things happening across the world. Did you hear about the stuff with Ron DeSantis taking away Disney's self-governing jurisdiction?
It's never gonna happen.
It's already done. He's already signed it into law.
But it's like not gonna go through.
No, I'm saying it's already passed. He has signed it into law. I'm saying the law is passed.
But it hasn't taken effect yet.
I believe it just did, like last week.
No, he signed it into law. It hasn't taken effect yet. It doesn't take effect until 2024.
Okay. So
they're gonna fight it.
With who?
With the government.
With who?
They're gonna sue him because Florida will owe them it's several $1 billion in, it doesn't work out. Like the tax revenue that they need from Orange County, that area.
You know we're talking about Florida, right?
I know.
You just said Orange County. That's in California.
There's an Orange County in Florida.
That's where Disney World is?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
Who's your source for this? You're just pulling all of this out of your butt.
No,
what are you
I promise
talking
it's
about?
Disney.
What are you talking about?
Disney news channels.
Dude, Disney released a statement just the other day and said that they're going to work to manage the new rules. They're going to work with the new board that is overseeing Disney's special economic zone. They released an entire statement the other day.
Yeah, I think they're going to fight it.
Really weird from you. It is kind of weird, that whole special self-governing tax district municipality type thing, because they were allowed to do, they were allowed to approve their own permits and stuff, and all sorts of weird stuff. I don't know.
It's just it's probably pretty hard to run a theme park, a full complex theme park like that
with all the bureaucracy of the government.
I want to build a new hotel, or I need a new road to go from Animal Kingdom to Epcot or something like that. It's to go through the regular bureaucracy feels weird.
They asked me to oversee the new council that's
it's weird from Florida to that's all pro business, pro whatever, to be okay, we're going to give the government more control.
Well, you know why, right? It's because Disney came out against
stuff,
Disney came out against the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida, which is weird. It's weird that the Republicans in Florida are pushing back so hard against some of that stuff, and across the country, it's such a weird, with all the things that you could go at Democrats for, or all the things that are happening right now that you could really take a stand on. It's weird that Republicans have chosen drag shows and transgenderism.
We're going to fight Disney.
We're fighting Disney. It's just really weird. And I can't imagine that the base likes that stuff, but apparently they do, because DeSantis won his election by 25 points. So
I'm wondering, it'll be interesting to see on a national, right? Because DeSantis will run for president.
Yeah, it looks like Biden's going to run. That's kind of where everything seems to be pointing. I think he's going to confirm his reelection. What are we laughing at? Are you just looking over my shoulder? Is there someone behind me?
No, I'm laughing at Biden running again.
Yeah, it is going to be weird. Marianne Williamson, if you remember her, she
I do not.
You don't remember her? This was the crazy like lady that ran in 2020 that got a very low percentage of the vote. She's a
that was like
non-politician.
libertarian type.
She's
No.
a Democrat, but she's like a non-politician. She's talked about spiritual energy and some weird stuff.
Yeah.
She was.
She's getting the Democratic nomination.
Can you imagine? It's so funny. She actually came out and said that the DNC had rigged it against
Her?
Bernie
Oh.
in 2020, which was interesting because if you think about it, Bernie had 42% of the primary votes up until the time that he stepped out of the race. And it makes you wonder what made him step out. I wonder because the DNC didn't really give any major concessions.
Wasn't there the weird, like, I mean, they didn't give any major concessions, but wasn't there the weird, like, everyone stepped out the same week?
Bernie, Pete Buttigieg, Kamala Harris.
Because who stayed in? Elizabeth Warren? Is that who stayed in?
Elizabeth Warren stepped out at the same time. I'd like to see her become president. I would probably vote for her if it came down to, her, Gavin Newsom, Cory Booker, some other Democratic governor. I would probably vote for Elizabeth Warren. I actually think she's pretty dang smart with a lot of things. If it was her or DeSantis, I don't know.
Yeah. Let's see.
If it's Biden versus DeSantis, I'm voting for DeSantis. And I'm as liberal as they come. But I'm telling you,
Apparently not.
dude, I would do it just to spite the Democrats.
It's weird. Biden running again is a really wild thing to me. Because he was on his last, like, it felt like, oh, like, this is a crazy, like, I get it, you're running somebody that everyone will recognize, like, people will, like, not super controversial. But, like, 4 years ago, he was like, it was like, oh, he's, like, out of it. Like, I can't imagine him run, like, because he's already the oldest president ever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows?
SVB, which is Silicon Valley Bank, failed.
That
Couple
feels
days
like
ago.
one that's set up to fail. Like, that's a very, like, NPC bank name, right? Silicon Valley Bank.
Second biggest bank to ever fail,
Mm-hmm.
behind the stuff that happened in 2008 with Lehman Brothers. And one thing that I was telling you is that I found interesting was only like 15% of the deposits were under 250,000, which means they were insured by the FDIC.
So they're all gone.
Everything above 250,000, bye-bye, gone. Which is insane to me because when I think of putting money in the bank, I don't think of I'm making an investment, or I don't think I'm putting this money at risk.
Yeah.
Right. And now with the failure of that bank, US Bank came out and basically said, they made some really weird comments at this conference and
Like,
said,
there's always a risk of you losing your money type thing.
there's always a risk of, just total illiquidity in a bank. And I was like, geez. And now you have all these people saying, take your money out of the bank. I'm not going to because I don't have $250,000 in the bank. Right. And I trust the FDIC. But there is a case to be made for people that have millions in the bank. I mean, if that bank just straight up failed,
You're in trouble. That's not great.
well, yeah. And with the Fed coming out with, even higher, are you playing footsies with me? What's going on? You're being weird. With the Fed announcing even further interest rate hikes for the next, year,
Yeah.
it's going to get wild, dude, because all of these banks during 2020, the reason that a lot of them are going, their liquidity positions have gone down is because they bought these mortgage-backed securities at a super low rate, 2%.
Yeah.
But now mortgage rates are at like 6 or
Super
7%,
high, yeah.
which means all those investments aren't, doing anywhere near as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why a lot of these banks' balance sheets look like such crap. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how things go from here. Crypto is total
Just
failure.
gone.
I took all my money out. The last time it was slightly up. So I'm like all out. I'm never going back in again because I'm like mad about it, but I'm
I just
also
put all my money in Shiba Coin.
see now. Here's the thing. This is not investment advice.
Guys, buy NFTs, please.
But yeah, crypto Coinbase, which is one of the biggest, if not the biggest platform for trading crypto, is not allowing you to convert tokens right now or coins. So that typically points to they do not have enough coins or assets to manage these trades, which is concerning. Because I think if Coinbase goes down, there's a lot of people that are going to lose a lot of money. And crypto isn't insured, right? Even investments are insured in the case that like a brokerage goes bankrupt. But
crypto, you're just out
crypto,
of luck.
you're out of luck. So it'll be interesting to see how all that pans out. A lot of companies, financial analysts are now predicting 100% confidence in a recession.
Which is a weird thing to predict. 100%.
Well, they're just never right about it.
100% confidence. I don't think
Yeah.
I'm 100% confident about like
The sun coming up tomorrow.
like yeah. There's very few things I'm 100% confident about, and like financial like market stuff is certainly not something I'd ever take a gamble at.
Yeah, it's a really weird economic situation right now. Another interesting thing. So, one way that they predict the stability and the health of the market is they look at how much money people have in savings accounts or how much they're actively saving.
Yeah.
And right now, folks are actively saving around 3% of their income, whereas during 2020, it was up to like 17%, which was the highest it's ever been. So now it's at 3%, which is the lowest since 1960. So high inflation means people are spending more money. Rising housing costs, people are spending more money. They're saving less. They're not investing into the stock market, and then you have higher interest rates, which means they're not borrowing.
Yeah.
So it kind of all sets up for a pretty big economic.
So you're saying 100% recession?
I don't know about 100%. I think it's going to happen, but I also think the Fed's going to delay it for a while. I don't think it'll be for another couple of years.
Ooh.
I actually think Jerome Powell knows what he's doing. I actually like him. I think he's pretty dang good at his job.
Yeah.
But I also think that a lot of people are going to lose their jobs at these higher interest rates,
Well, it's kind
which
of
is
an
the
impossible
point.
situation, right?
Yeah, and when he testified in front of Congress, he was being asked, "Be honest, is the purpose of these inflation rates to put people out of work?" And he says, "Well, no, that's not exactly the intended consequence." But all the senators were like, "Well, that's what happens, right?"
Yeah.
Which it is a consequence, and
Yeah.
it's a predicted consequence. That's part of the.
They know it's
that's
gonna
part of the way
happen.
to slow the
Yeah.
economy, but they're not going to say we're deliberately putting people out of work.
Yeah.
In other news, I'm trying to think.
Ukraine. We haven't
this
talked
is
about okay, go for
This is
it.
interesting. California canceled a 54, I think it was million or billion. I think it was $54 million contract with Walgreens over them refusing to sell abortion pills, like over the counter abortion
Yeah.
prescriptions. And Walgreens stock just tanked after that, which is interesting because it's kind of crazy that state governments have so much control over these companies. It's kind of nice to see the government stick it to these companies every once in a while when they are doing something that they disagree with or something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. Especially Walgreens, because they're like the pinnacle of kind of evil corporation.
Oh, I can't stand them. I actually switched my prescriptions from Walgreens to Macy's across the street because I can't stand Walgreens. I hate it so much.
Yeah. So, what about Ukraine?
Mm-hmm.
That stuff's still going on, and kind of crazy.
Yeah, I actually heard this really interesting take from a guy. I have no idea what his name is, no idea who he was, but I watched this YouTube video and he was giving a speech about Ukraine, and he was basically saying, Ukraine can't fail. They won't fail. This will be prolonged until the Russians stop. And the reason is because you have countries like Belgium, for example, that don't have a real national military. They don't have a formidable government, very little social cohesion in a lot of parts of the country. And here they are literally buying tanks to give to Ukraine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's like, it's true. I mean, Belgium is essentially a demilitarized nation, and they're buying tanks to give to Ukraine. And when you have all the countries in the West doing that, I mean, they'll continue doing it forever.
No one likes Russia, right? Like,
Yeah.
Russia can't win because everyone hates them.
And China's not getting involved, and I think Russia almost thought that China
I bet
was
they
going to
thought
get
China was
involved.
going to get involved.
Well, I think that Russia saw this as an opportunity to take Ukraine and have China go into Taiwan. Because if China goes into Taiwan the same time they're going into Ukraine, the West would pick one or the other. The difference is, I think
they would have picked Ukraine.
I think the West will go to war with China over Taiwan.
Yeah.
I think we'll actually send troops to Taiwan.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason isn't necessarily because of the political significance of losing, a democratic nation.
Yeah.
It's because of computer chips.
Ah.
Taiwan is arguably I think they actually might be the number one chip manufacturer in the entire world of specialized computer chips.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, dude, everything is specialized computer
like,
chips. Cars,
yeah.
computers, phones, radios, communication devices that you use in like tanks, in
The cars one is
airplanes,
crazy.
in everything, right? And these industries have they're such a major player, and the U.S. and the West knows that if that falls into the hands of China, it's not necessarily that China is going to gain control of those chips, because a lot of people in the West think that China just doesn't actually know how to operate the manufacturing plants. They don't think that China will be able to figure out how to make chips en masse because they're not specialized enough yet. But Taiwan does.
Yeah.
So that's one of the arguments I heard, is that the West will defend Taiwan because of
the computer chips
and the specialized industry, which would be really interesting.
I mean, because the computer chip thing's a big one, because, like, I mean, you look, there's, like, lots and lots of cars, like, big, huge parking lots filled with cars just sitting there, ready to go, but they just need a computer chip.
Yeah, and speaking of cars, it'll be interesting to see a shift to where consumers can buy cars direct from like Ford.
Manufacturers, yeah.
That's gonna be so nice, dude. Not having to go through a dealership's gonna be so sick. And I guess the biggest difference is, you can't really negotiate, but you can't really negotiate on new car prices anyway, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't been able to do that. There's something else really interesting that I heard about. Was it China? Oh, that's what it was. The U.S. has, I believe they sent, or they're planning to send, nuclear submarines to Australia for the first time, which is interesting. This is that Kasnak deal, if you remember that.
Yeah, I think we talked about that.
Canada, Australia, United States, New Zealand. I think this is UK, Australia, and the United States. What was that deal called?
I can't remember.
I can't remember, but yeah, this is the deal that pissed off the French. If you remember, the Australians left the French in the mud to come to the U.S., which always feels good.
Fair.
Right. Giving the French a piece of your mind always feels pretty good. But yeah, kind of interesting. Dude, how about that killer in Idaho? Killed those 4 kids, those 4 college students.
It came out of nowhere. Yeah, that's a wild news story.
Yeah.
I was going to talk about the spy balloons that we haven't talked about. We didn't talk about that at all.
Dude, speaking of, okay, I don't want to go on a tangent here, but the U.S. government released photos of a unidentified flying object over Iraq. It was either Iraq or
Let's
Afghanistan.
pull it up. I
Dude,
wanna see
it is the weirdest. Just look up U.S. releases UFO photos and then look up Iraq as keyword. It was the weirdest looking thing I've ever seen, and I'd like to get your take on it. It looks like a cylindrical
It's spherical.
object. Let me see it. I want to make sure you're looking at the right photo. Is that the? Oh, I think that's the one.
Yeah.
So, and they reported that it had less heat on a heat map than the objects around it. And the thing about flying objects, Henry, is they're hotter because they have rockets and a way to propel them.
Yeah.
This was colder than its environment, which makes you think it doesn't have the same type of rocket heat stuff that we have.
So, okay. My only concern on this, I guess there's U.S. government releases over 350 new reports on UFO sightings. Which, like, to be fair, it's UFO in the, like, literal sense of UFO. Like, unidentified flying object. So, yeah, that's weird. I don't know.
And so those things have been flying around. We have all these spy balloons. We have all these objects that they shot down every day.
They keep shooting them down over Alaska.
For almost a week. It's really weird. It is just so bizarre. We keep sending these fighters to shoot down these balloons, these objects in the sky. I actually listened. They released the audio of one of the fighter jets that was up in the air with some object.
Yeah.
The one that flew over, I think, Lake Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
No, this is the one over Alaska. And he was basically saying, yeah, I don't know. It looks...
Shoot it down.
It's about the size of a four-wheeler. Looks like it might be a balloon, but I can't tell. And just shoots it down. And then they haven't released any information about what they uncovered.
Do you think China's just, like, messing with us at this point and just, like...
I think it's like China or Russia that are sending these objects.
Just sending a bunch of them over. Like,
it's just... What it is it's probably, like, Soviet-era garbage spy stuff.
They just, like...
They're just chucking it over. And it's really weird because I can't imagine any other plausible explanation because I think if aliens were advanced enough to come here, I don't think their technology would be able to get shot down by, like, fighter jets.
Yeah, I think they just... Yeah, it's not aliens. It's just... I think it's literally just balloons. Like, they're probably just sending weather balloons over at this point.
Yeah, but weird that the weather balloon China sent over flew all the way over Canada, and Canada didn't shoot it down. Really kind of weird.
They called us.
Yeah, for the second one.
For the second one?
Canada asked the United States to shoot it down.
To be fair, we didn't shoot the one down for a long time. Like, it flew over most of the U.S.
They shot down over the coast of North Carolina, dude.
Yeah, and it was in, like, what, Wyoming? Montana?
Dude, yeah, it was through Montana, and there's nuclear sites in Montana.
Yeah, and they were just like, well, they, like, anything it can see, like, a satellite would be able to see, so we're not really worried about it. But it's like... Whatever. I don't know.
Xi Jinping got elected again for the third time.
Shocker.
He received received 100% of the Congress's votes. There was no other individuals running, but yeah, he is one of the longest serving Democratic leaders. And I'm just kidding. He's
like Putin being democratically elected.
Yeah, hardly.
Vote for him or your apartment block like collapses.
Yeah.
But yeah, Xi Jinping, that's crazy. He's been around for... Did you see... Have we talked about this? The video of like, it was some meeting and the former president of China was there and he gets, like, ushered out. Did we talk about this on here? Oh, okay.
That was a really weird one.
can't
And he was
remember
sitting
that.
next to Xi.
And they just
Which
like took
was
him out, and he's
weird.
like, "What?" Like, okay,
That dude didn't know what was going on.
no
dude.
idea.
That
He
guy
had no
was
idea.
lost.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. And then on this in the Senate, they've been they called a hearing about the Twitter files, which was kind of weird.
Really weird.
That we're dedicating all of our national.
The Twitter files
to
thing was
Twitter
weird too
files.
because I saw just like a thread from some random dude. That was the Twitter files.
That was the guy that testified too. Yeah.
Yeah. What? What? I thought when I heard about all these Twitter files, I'm like, okay, Elon Musk is going to release like this big like website I can go to read all the Twitter files. It's some dude. He's like, before the whole thing, he had like 50,000 followers or something.
Really weird. Yeah. And weird that we're dedicating so much national coverage to that. I really don't get it.
Well, and senators asking questions about technology and the internet and stuff, like those type of things, is always hilarious because they don't know what they're talking about.
No.
Half the time, they don't understand it.
Dude, there's an old video of Orrin Hatch, who's the former senator from Utah.
Mm-hmm.
He was questioning the CEO of Google, who is a genius, by the way.
Yeah.
Just like the smartest guy. And he was basically asking if his iPhone, he had an iPhone in his hand. He was like, does this track me when I do blah, blah, blah? Like, does this track me? He's like, Senator, we don't make that. We don't make
That's
iPhones.
not our thing.
Yeah, we don't make
Yeah.
iPhones. Like, it's just embarrassing.
It feels like you should not be clueless to be a senator.
Or at the very least, don't ask, right? If you don't know, don't ask, because stupid questions get stupid answers.
Well, yeah, like cursory research, like the tiniest amount of research.
Have your assistant fill you in, you know? Like, that's what they're there for.
Wear an earpiece. Like, have somebody talk you through it from outside the room that knows what's going on.
Yeah. Man, that guy was old when he retired. Orrin Hatch. Jeez, I think he's dead now.
Well,
Rest in peace.
He served he was in the Senate for 40 years. You need term limits.
So bad.
Term limits.
So bad.
How do we not have term limits on senators and representatives?
It's crazy.
I don't get it.
Daylight savings bill is being reintroduced, or excuse me, a bill that would get rid of daylight savings is being reintroduced, which would be nice. We're springing forward tomorrow.
Would be nice. I don't know. Daylight savings.
I find it an inconvenience.
Just specifically the clock thing.
Yeah. I do. I find it inconvenience.
But isn't it very convenient when you get the extra hour in the fall?
Yeah, but it's very inconvenient tomorrow.
Okay, that's all we care about. It's
Yeah.
the immediate future.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would like that one to pass, I think.
Passed unanimously in the Senate. 100 votes. Can you believe that?
It's good. See if they can cooperate on important things.
This is very important.
Super important.
All right. Should we wrap this one up?
Let's call it.
Since you want to keep looking at your phone, you're
It just turned
just
on
looking
on
everywhere.
accident. It was an
Not
accident.
even making eye contact with me. Just looking over here, over there, looking everywhere across the room, letting me do all the talking, aren't you?